Way back in 1977, our master blender had an idea. He wanted to do some innovation. And so he took once used white American oak barrels, just under 250,000 of them, and he filled them with premium corn distillate. This is premium corn distillate that went into rye saturated barrels. And what does that mean? We use white American oak barrels that we get from the US. They use them once. We put aggressive number 4 char in there, burned off all the bourbon, exposed all the fresh wood sugars and the vanillas and the tannins, put the premium corn distillate in there in 2 bonds, August 1977 and September 1977, laid it down in the warehouse, laid these bonds in the warehouse, and just let them sleep. Okay. Now, in saying that, here's the thing with whiskey, and all distilleries around the world experience the same thing. Every year we lose 3% per barrel. But if you have less liquid in the barrel, that evaporation, that 3% will grow to 4 and 5%. So the whole point is you want to tap up those barrels or regauge those barrels every year so that you have all the wood space inside the barrel in contact with the liquid. When the whiskey turned 40 years in 2017, we decided that we were going to commemorate Canada's 150th anniversary. We produced 7,000 bottles of our Canadian Club 40-year-old. That was whiskey that we pulled at 70 ABV. We brought it down to 45 ABV, and that was it. It was beautiful, beautiful whiskey in its purest form. So that's when we knew there was a thirst for that type of aged Canadian spirit. And so we continued. We decided that we were going to continue with this collection of whiskeys. The following year, seeing the success and the tremendous result that we got, we decided to break our own record again with the CC 41-year-old. And this one we dedicated to the water of Windsor. And that's what all the US people were coming across the border drinking during those 13 long years of Prohibition. The water of Windsor, which was Canadian Club whiskey. Now here's the thing, with Canadian distillers, you can add up to 9% of another spirit as long as that spirit's aged for a minimum of 2 years. So with the 41-year-old, we blended in some aged sherry and some aged cognac, okay? And that one left you with a little bit of sweetness along with this 41-year-old caramel toffee liquid. It was beautiful whiskey. The following year, we decided with 42-year-old, again, 42 every year, we're not just going to release the same product 1 year older. So we pull it at 70, bring it down to 45. With the 42, we dedicated that one to the dockmen. They were the ones that were protecting the waters for us in front of our distillery, keeping all the crooks away and letting all the people that legitimately wanted real Canadian Club to come in and sign a contract and buy some. For the whiskey itself, we added some aged rye in there, rye and rye malt. So rye, Canadian rye whiskey, is incredibly great whiskey, number one. Secondly, it's very robust and peppery and spicy because that's what good quality, premium quality Canadian rye whiskey does. And so this one here, instead of the 41-year-old being a little bit sweeter with lots of caramel, the 40-year for sure was lots of caramel. This one here delivered the caramels and toffees, but also delivered the spiciness and the pepperiness of what good Canadian rye whiskey does. Okay? Now we're up to CC 43-year-old, and the marketing campaign around this one is the CC Speakeasy. Of course, again, for those long years, 1920 to 1933, the US people would come over, all the big heads from Chicago would come over, visit our CC Speakeasy to drink Canadian Club, to sign contracts to buy Canadian Club, to pick up Canadian Club and pay their check. So it was a very popular place during 1920 to 1933. So that's what our 43-year-old is dedicated to. The taste of the whiskey itself, we pulled it at 70 ABV, 43 years old, brought it down to 45 ABV, and this time we blended in one type of rye, aged rye. And we blended it in there so it's a little bit softer than the 42 with all that rye, a little bit softer. The color is golden honey, and there's a lot of cloves and nutmeg and burnt sugar. It's a beautiful whiskey, and I hope you get a chance to try it soon. Cheers.